What's up, you guys? It's Emily. Just wanted to give you some feedback on these portfolio websites. You are in Port 6, and that's so close to being done, so these sites are going to become even more important to you as you graduate and need to use them for different reasons. So, Jessica, we talked a little bit about the possibility of having to make another site of curated work just under your identity, Jess Kong. Petty Sloth can be sort of your freelance opportunities, your client work, and maybe Jess Kong is if an agency wants to hire you and you want to have more traditional resume type stuff. But let's take a look at what you've got here. We talked a little bit about like the black being harder to read on this blue color than the white. This word work is bigger than the word contact. Not sure what's going on there. As I scroll down, I can see some of these options for video editing, motion, and this should say illustration, not illustrate. And when I click on one here, it brings me to a little short description about this, but it's about the description's about the company or the organization and not the project itself. So what is this motion graphic designed for? Is it a bumper for their videos? Is it like to start their presentations? Or give me some insight as to the use of that. Your text should not be center aligned, but rather left aligned as paragraph text. Again, the black is a little bit harder to read. I can scroll down here and the navigation pops up. This gray color is not as poppy as the white. But that's also to say that the navigation is somewhat awkward on this site. This is probably a better place for me to see what I want to preview next because it's got like these like cool thumbnails. I'm not a big fan of the hover text because you've given me, you've given me words on the screen behind this, so it makes them both hard to read when you hover there. So I would explore taking that off as a feature, that hover feature. But so like this is more compelling to me because I see the thumbnail and I'm like, ooh, I want to see this one. So I choose it and then it shows up here and I can press play. You don't have any context for this the same way that you did for the one for step. And so you want to be consistent there to talk about your projects and your approach. And what is this being used for? Like let people know how motion design or how these types of illustrated pieces are valuable and what they can be used for. Simply contact form, a little bit about you, but so a little about me, but who's me? Petty Sloth, okay. But so it's sort of like this generic identity that it's hard to talk about because you say, I am a content creator, but who am I? Are you assuming the Petty Sloth identity, or is it kind of just, like the name of the brand itself, like Johnny Cupcakes? So just something to think about. Like there's more strategy that needs to be involved in this aspect of it. But what I will say is your strategy with your Instagram and how you're pulling up all of that content and like kind of creating these themes, it's all on point. Should you decide to kind of refine this in terms of how you talk about it, that can easily be changed and this doesn't have to be affected by it. So I'm super proud of the strides that you've made, and more so than this visual like awesome content because it's the starting point for what's going to be a cool career for you. I'm more proud of your ability to connect to the why and the how of all of this, and when you know that you can find no shortage of inspiration or motivation to do the work and to get better at the work. So high five, Jason. So here we have your website, and you're somebody who has like a lot of different cool things going on. So let's talk about those things. We've got your name up here at the top. We've got the moon, but like your name is a little smaller around it. My recommendation would be just to make the moon bigger and put it right up here next to your name and not have your name two times. It's a bit duplicative. This image it looks nice of you, but it doesn't fit well in this banner, right? Like it cuts off your mouth. And then even when I scroll, I don't get to see. So like there's no payoff, right? There's no payoff for this picture. I don't get to fully appreciate how good looking you are because I don't get to see it. And so it's that you need a picture that is framed or cropped a little bit differently so as to fit better in this window. Kind of scrolling down, I see your talent resume, I see your experience. So I would distinguish between talent resume and maybe work experience or professional experience, because you say, you give this context, so give this context or context as well. So scrolling down, you really, you've done so much. There's no shortage of things that you've been involved in. So you've got some skills here, course director award, you're winning scholarship. I would contextualize this a little bit and give some, just a brief background about it. And that was awarded to you for your dedication and committing to the work that you do there. It wasn't just like they picked you out of a crowd, and I think that's something that you should highlight. We've got your different places where we can connect online, which is great. Other places via social media. Jumping next to the About Me. So this is loading in. Model does not need to be capitalized there. You got your Who Am I video. So this is great. It's just a little bit of a bio. And then, it offers more detail and dimension because you're somebody who has quite a bit going on. Social media. So cool. All right. So you say NXT social media, amount of hours worked. This is cool. It's going to be an ongoing number. But here's the thing, and that you don't really say what you do, right? So maybe you say, I am the social media manager. Like you really spell it out. I am the social media manager for NXT. My job is to create compelling content and and engage our followers online. Below is a collection of, my highest interaction posts. That's the kind of thing. And, just to kind of show the metrics of that. Like we do see some of the metrics here, but like kind of scrolling down, these are high numbers, right? Like these are really high numbers. And so you're just not playing this up enough. Like this is really big and you need to make sure that it's being promoted. So we've got your videos, acting reel, interviews. These were things that we looked at in class. I'm just going to click on one to see how it replicates here. Okay, so we have your acting reel. It's kind of weird that the moonsault is underneath this text here, or underneath this area. So the layering of it makes it a little difficult to read and not totally usable. And you don't really explain the moonsault thing anywhere, so I would explore a different option for that. And then again, anytime you have a video, you want to have a title and you want to have a description of it, and then you want to have, if you played any roles in it other than being the talent, did you edit it? If so, you should totally include that too. So with your modeling, scrolling down, taking a look at these different shoots, different looks, which are great. I might explore if there's a way you can collage these images, and then I could click on maybe a smaller version of it and it brings the bigger one, so I don't have to scroll for all of this. Just something that was like, again, a collage, so I could see them all up here and not have to scroll so much, and then I could click on it to see the bigger one. But I'm glad to see your blog because I know that you love to write, and so here some of your writings, which is some of your poetry, and I'm always pleased to see how you are really supporting all of these different sides of yourself. This is great, Jason. A few small details, a few things that you can do. There's some inconsistencies, like the way that blog is centered here, but under modeling it's centered, but under moonsault for your acting, it's not centered. NXT centered, About Me not centered, and you're doing that because of the images that you include, but you include a lot of images of yourself. So maybe what you could focus on is something like like a pattern or solid or something that has a little bit of texture, because really what's important in this area is just like the page title, and then this is the content. And so if you want to include this image, include it somewhere down here, but by doing this and moving these things around, you're making it inconsistent, and thereby not giving it the best best impression of design principles. So if you guys have any questions about this review and sort of about anything that I've offered, please let me know. These portfolio sites are not done and will not be done, but they can, constantly be becoming a better version of what they are. So please see to that, and happy to help you guys any way needed.